Welcome to this community conversation, a production of LMC Media. I'm Maura Carlin. We are live this evening with our municipal leaders, Town of Mamaroneck Supervisor Nancy Seligson, Village of Mamaroneck Mayor Tom Murphy, and Village of Larchmont Mayor Lorraine Walsh. Thank you for being here. The topic is COVID in the community, how we're doing virus-wise, vaccines, and the impact on people, business, government, and services. And folks out there, if you haven't already done so, you can ask questions by email. We'll try to get to them. The email address is info@lmcmedia.org. So let's start with the health issues. What are the current levels of infection and illness in the Larchmont Mamaroneck community right now?
I can start if you'd like. Today, according to the Westchester County dashboard, which gives us our daily numbers now, we have a total of 76 active cases in the unincorporated area of the town of Mamaroneck. And overall, we've had a total of 804 cases. It gives you the information for each community. So the Village of Mamaroneck and the Village of Larchmont have their numbers too.
We've had over 2,000 cases in the Village of Mamaroneck in total, which would translate it to probably roughly 11% of our population had COVID at one time or another. And that's just, the cases that were caught by the Westchester County Department of Health. So,
and you have around 100 right now?
Yeah, that's what we're running around now, yeah. January was bad. No, January was atrocious. February was a little better, and March seems to be trending down.
And the Village of Larchmont's kind of low right now.
The Village of Larchmont's extremely low right now, which is a wonderful thing, because like everyone else, January was really, really high. February was still pretty high. So far for the month of March, we have 6 cases. So that's amazing, and I hope it stays like that.
So but you don't know if it's going to continue to trend that way. They're not telling you, huh?
If I knew that, I'd have $1 million.
I'd be developing vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
For those who need to be tested or are ill and need help, what are the services and support available in the communities? You can start, Nancy.
Well, we put out information about the vaccines and updated information from the state and from the county as soon as we get it. And we also, we get information about specific populations and cohorts as the vaccine has been rolled out. So of course, the first responders were the ones who were in the first cohort, but then in the subsequent weeks and months now, we have gotten information about specific vaccines for specific populations, like the older population.
Mm-hmm.
Before we, Nancy, I want to interrupt just because I want to start with testing, whether there's testing available, and then we'll come back to the vaccine.
Okay. Yeah, testing. Testing is pretty available these days. There's a lot of sites within our community that offer testing, and they've had pop-up testing in the Village of Mamaroneck at Harbor Island.
Yes, we had a Harbor Island pop-up testing, and we were hoping that when the county allows pop-up vaccinations, they're going to use the same site. But as Nancy points out, that there's many private entities that are doing testing in the community, WestMed and Physicians One, but you can go down to Glen Island, and they're actually running a very efficient operation down there. So you can go down to Glen Island and get a test for free and get the results in 2 or 3 days.
So do you have any great secret of where you go to get the fastest results? I keep hearing people asking, where do I go so I can get the results quickly? And no one seems to have, an answer, for that.
That seems to vary greatly depending on what's happening in the community. So, around the holidays, not only was it hard to get an appointment, but the test results were taking 5 to 10 days to come back because they were swamped. Right now, I think you can go just about anywhere and get your results anywhere from 24 to 48 hours, no matter where you go.
Or you
So
could
now
pay
I'm
extra and get a rapid test, which gives you 15 minutes. It's less accurate, but at least you can get a baseline.
Right, but it's often not accepted, like if you want to go back to work or you want to go back to school, they
Right.
want the PCR testing.
Mhm.
So vaccines are rolling out, as you were talking about, Nancy, and more people are eligible, like it's like every day. What role, if any, do the municipalities have in getting people vaccinated?
Really, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Lorraine.
I was gonna say, I mean, not much of a role, except for the fact that we try to share information with our residents. And then the county has reached out to us a couple of times to put together lists when restaurant workers became eligible. They asked us all to contact our local restaurants and provide with number of employees who were interested, so they could get a count just in case the county was at some point able to kind of do a mobile vaccination reach out for restaurant workers and things like that.
I think it's important for the folks at home to bear in mind that municipalities like the town of Mamaroneck and the two villages don't have health departments. It is not a service that we provide. The county has a health department. So really, the county has been the conduit for the state. So it's kind of like the federal government is feeding the state vaccines. The vaccines are sending it to the cities and counties, and the county, and they're doing a distribution.
So our role is really to communicate the information.
Yes,
best
information.
we can. And also, I think that we've all offered to the county to be a pop-up area, a pop-up place for vaccinations.
But that hasn't happened yet.
No,
not yet.
So I heard the county health commissioner and county executive Latimer discussing how to get homebound people vaccinated, and they spoke about reaching out to the municipalities for help on that. Is that an effort that's ongoing right now?
Yeah, they did. They reached out to us to help identify through our police and fire departments homebound residents, so that when they're ready to implement, they know who to go to and they have a count.
Who wants to give out the website for figuring out if you can get a vaccination?
If you're eligible.
If you're eligible.
Am I eligible? In New York State, am I eligible? Google it.
Now,
Yeah.
People have been going on that website and having a tough time getting appointments. Is there any local group besides, there is a Facebook group that helps, but is there any local help for helping people get appointments? I mean, for example, I had to get my mother an appointment because she wasn't able to maneuver that herself.
Yes, so our community services department, which is administered by the town for the 3 communities, has been reaching out to the seniors who are members and seniors that they know to offer them help in scheduling appointments, in managing the websites and managing the whole appointment situation. We know that we have 18 homebound seniors. We've certainly been in contact with them. We run the Meals on Wheels program, so we have regular contact with those folks who are homebound or home quite a bit. And so there is ongoing communication to help them manage as best they can.
So someone who needs help should contact the senior center?
If there are a senior, yes.
I just want to put in a plug. I have a few friends who have parents in Ireland and the United Kingdom where they have National Health Service. And the National Health Service knows who's homebound. They know who is infirm, and they've been proactively going out and gave those shots first. So that's one of the benefits of having a national health plan, is that we don't have patchwork and we don't have people trying to play, lotto. And if they get the winning number here, it just happens automatically.
And I'll just say that's probably a debate for another time.
Yay, socialism. Yeah.
I was trying to be graceful about that, Tom. What about helping people get transportation to their vaccination appointments? For those who don't drive, can't drive, are there services available here, or is that another county issue?
We have tried to talk to the county about that in the town because, we do have the senior buses, but we have not been able to use those yet because of the social gathering issues and distancing.
Ah, right.
So we haven't been able to use those yet.
Okay. All right. So now let's switch to money. I imagine that the virus and the whole pandemic has blown a hole in your budgets. What really has been the effect on the municipal budgets and services for all of you?
Who wants to go first?
Yeah, last year, when the pandemic kind of took hold, both the village of Mamaroneck and the village of Larchmont were in the middle of budget season. Like right now is budget season for us. And, we cut $2.5 million out of our projected budget. And luckily we were able to do it because we were in the middle of budget season. And, that being proactive for us worked out because it hasn't blown a huge hole in our budget. And, we're going to end this year with $500,000, for the unallocated reserve fund growing. But, we lost a lot of revenue. I'm sure the other municipalities too, like, nobody's buying railroad passes. We had months where we suspended the meters on Mamaroneck Avenue. And, people get annoyed by the meters, and I know Larchmont is moving in this direction, but it brings in hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that money, doesn't have to be collected through property taxes. And it's a big hole in the budget when you're not getting it.
Do you have
I'm sorry.
Why don't you go ahead, Lorraine? Tell us about Larchmont.
Yeah, so like Tom said, we had a beautiful budget prepared, which we were about to pass, and then COVID came, and we quickly made lots of changes to that. So we ended up adopting a budget that was much more conservative, and therefore we're not in such bad shape. We are going to end with a net deficit, but it's not that bad. Probably around, I think, about 150,000 we might end up at the end. But we also had vacancies that we didn't fill. We deferred some.
You mean job vacancies?
Job vacancies that we didn't fill, which helped offset some of the loss of revenue.
Yeah.
And we deferred some capital projects. So for the village of Larchmont, two of the biggest losses were commuter parking permits. That brings in quite a bit of revenue. We have a really popular train station. And court was closed.
Right.
Court was closed for
Right.
almost this entire year. They reopened for a short period of time. So fines.
Is it open now? Is court open now?
Well,
I think it is right now.
It's not open. No, no.
Oh.
We don't, first of all, everybody has to understand too, that we don't control the court. Court is, yeah. So when they shut down before anyone else in the village shut down. But anyway, fines and forfeitures are down heavily because, first of all, we weren't enforcing a lot of parking rules with everybody home and everybody needing a place to put their car. And then with court closed, there's no collection of or adjudication of tickets. So that revenue is down quite substantially this year.
So Nancy, is it the same in the town? You had done your budget last year just before the pandemic hit. Did you have to
Right.
pivot during the year or cut things during the year?
We lost a lot of revenue as well, and ours was mostly in the recreation department, through the pool and the ice rink, especially in our camp programs, which are, provide a large revenue to the town. But if you remember last year, we also were budgeting for the new increase in sales tax that we were all expecting from the county. And so we had very conservatively budgeted for that, which meant that the sales tax that we did get sort of satisfied the budget. We weren't, we had budgeted so conservatively that we weren't that hurt by it. And as the two villages, we also deferred capital projects, didn't fill positions that were left vacant, and tried to manage as best we could with the reduced revenue by trying to decrease expenses as much as possible.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, it definitely is a hardship, and we also had to dip into our surplus, our rainy day fund, to really booster the budget as well. So, it had a big impact.
So given this, should we be expecting increases in our property taxes?
Well, the town passed our budget, in December with the lowest property tax increase in a very, very long time. I think the entire time I've been with the town, it was just over 1%. And that is because we are trying to stay within the tax cap, recognizing that everyone's having a difficult time, and really looking at paring down as much as we could, recognizing that COVID is still with us for at least, we figured, half a year. We think things will start to get back to normal a little more in the second half of the year. But we just learned a few days ago that the government is now going to give us quite a bit of funding for COVID expenses and loss of revenue and all kinds of things.
So I'd like to talk to that, since the law was signed today, the American Recovery Act.
Yes,
and
it was.
I want to know what impact you think that's going to have on our community, and we can start with from the municipality standpoint, and whoever wants to start can.
Well, Lorraine probably would like to do a happy dance.
Yeah, definitely. It makes a big difference because we're in budget season right now. So we're certainly, when you say, are we going to expect a tax increase this year? Yes. The answer is yes. It's not going to be zero. That's just not possible. We'd have to fire employees in order to keep our budget a zero increase, because everyone has contractual increases every year. But we will stay within the tax cap. And getting money from the federal government is going to allow us to do some of the capital projects that we had to put to the side that we were planning over a year ago. We'll be able to do that, plus take care of a couple of other items.
Do you have an idea of what the amount is?
We have we do. I mean,
got a back of the envelope.
It's the back of the envelope, though. Here's the thing. So we got a grand total number for the town of Mamaroneck entirely, and we assume it's broken down by some per capita rate. So for the village of Mamaroneck, of Larchmont rather, should be around $550,000. We're the smallest of the three, so
yes,
it goes up from there.
And that's about, okay.
So the total amount for the town of Mamaroneck, which includes the two villages, well, half of the village of Mamaroneck, is $3.24 million. And that is a pretty generous amount. And we are excited about that. I was on the call with Senator Schumer today, who was addressing the municipal leaders of the state to talk about the bill. And the details and specifics of how it is going to be rolled out, some of which are known, but some still have to be figured out. It will this year and next year. So it's going to be over 2 years that the amount is going to be given out. And the first half of it will be given out to the village of Larchmont and the town of, to the town of Mamaroneck, I should say, within the next 60 days.
Yeah, I mean, for the village of Mamaroneck, we have to get it for two towns, right? So, because we're
Right.
part of 40% of us is in the town of Rye and 60% is in the town of Mamaroneck. But my back of the envelope was kind of like around 2 million and change, maybe, which will be nice. But we don't want to spend it all in one place.
Well, is it going to be used to fill holes that you have, to rehire people who, positions that may have maybe vacant, or capital projects or something else?
We didn't have to lay anybody off. So honestly, it hasn't been addressed by the board yet of what, we just found out about this 2 days ago. So we haven't got a plan to use it or how it's going to be allocated yet. But
you're all pretty happy?
Oh, yeah, you think? Yeah, very happy.
So are your offices open full-time at this point, the municipal offices?
No, well, for us, they're not open that you can walk in. Business is going on as before, but most of it's done remotely. The Village of Mamaroneck has put a mailbox outside 123 Mamaroneck Avenue for people to drop off taxes and other forms for the village. We have windows where you can call for service and somebody will come to the window, but it's not like the old days where you could just walk into the buildings willy-nilly.
Are the employees in the office full-time now?
We have cohorts. We have A and B group. So half the employees will be in one day, half the employees will be in the next day. So that.
How does that work if they're working on one specific thing? Do they take this work stuff home with them? And is there a privacy concern about that?
Well, they don't take home, there's very little in village government that's, confidential. And those are all files of employees, basically, and legal stuff. But most of the stuff, we have employees working from home. And I might add, working very efficiently from home. I was worried that there would be a diminution in output, but that really hasn't happened. And I salute all those employees for, working under tough circumstances and, trying to, deal with kids and Zoom homework and still getting all their work done. And,
Nancy, is it the same in the town?
The town is at full complement of employees in the town center, and we've sort of retrofitted the town center in areas where there's heavy traffic. We have some plastic partitions separating folks. Everyone is wearing a mask, except when they're at their own individual desk, if they are socially distanced from others. And so everyone is working every day. We have staggered the timing and starts of the folks in the sanitation commission and also in the highway department so that they don't overlap as much in their areas. But yeah, everyone's been working full time now for quite a while, actually.
What about the Village of Larchmont?
Yeah, all of the Village Hall employees are working full-time on site. Mask wearing is mandatory in any common space, but the public is not coming into, or I should say up to Village Hall, if you know the village is set up here. So we have a desk with a plexiglass shield and it's staffed in the lobby all day long. And that's where all the business happens.
Should say that's the same in the town.
Yeah, they either call up or if it's for the building department, they can go on the online scheduler and schedule an appointment and let us know what they want, and then we'll bring the files down for them to review in the lobby.
So you've probably noticed, as I've noticed, that the real estate market here is booming and has been booming through the entire pandemic. So many houses are trading over, which also is leading to a lot of construction. Everywhere I go, there's construction. Mm-hmm. One, is it feeding your coffers with fees, or is it getting backlogged? And what do you see as a longer term effect on the communities?
Well,
are you talking new construction?
I'm talking about people redoing stuff in their
renovation.
homes, renovations, expansions, tear downs.
Yeah,
you see that a lot going on, although we haven't felt the economic impacts of that, the financial impacts of that yet. And, we're about to embark on an update of our comprehensive plan in the town of Mamaroneck. So I really want to encourage folks to participate in that because we want to hear from folks what they think about that. How do they see their community? What's their vision for it? What do they value? And we know that community character, meaning housing stock and the aesthetics of the housing is an issue.
So sales are brisk in Larchmont, and there are a lot of renovations going on, but we made a substantial change to our zoning code 4 or 5 years ago. Was the first year I was here. That was all I worked on. So there are limitations to what can happen, but building department is swamped for sure. And I would expect that the building department fees will reflect that level of busyness.
Okay.
And I also would assume that it will have an effect on the assessed property value.
Explain how that works.
So we're all the Larchmont and the town of Mamaroneck. I don't know about the village of Mamaroneck though. We're at full market value assessments.
We are too.
So you are too, okay. So often every year it has to be reviewed, and new sales at higher prices or renovations where permits are taken out, and that cost of the construction is added to the assessment taken into effect. So our assessed value changes every year. And
For those for the homes that have traded or had work done.
yeah, sometimes there's some slight variation up or down on other homes as well, just to re-equilibrate the market. But at this point, since we've been at full market for a couple of years, mostly the changes are related to something occurring on a particular property.
I want to talk about
it doesn't get you more taxes. It just,
No, it just
it's about how you cut the pie.
distributes the pie a little differently. Yeah.
I want to talk to you about your summer plans, not your personal summer plans, but what the community is planning. Are we going back to full beaches and pools and concerts, or you don't know yet?
Well, we have summer camp, so that's a known. We're going to start a registration for summer camp on March 22nd.
And you can find the information on the Village of Larchmont website.
Village of Larchmont website, and emails will be going out to anyone who's registered to receive e-news from the village with.
And full capacity?
Slightly reduced capacity, but not drastically reduced, but slightly reduced, and 1 hour shorter per day because of
Cleaning.
some of the restrictions and but it's summer camp, so 6 weeks with 6-week program that it usually is. That's a great thing. We're looking at maybe trying to figure out how to do some summer concerts. It might not actually be summer, they might actually be fall concerts that we do. And the Friends of Larchmont Parks are working with the Village Recreation Committee and Sound Movement in the village to do yoga classes on Friday evenings in Constitution Park. So right now that's pretty much where we're at. Everything else is kind of like, we're not sure what we should commit to.
Right. Is the Village of Mamaroneck hitting the beach?
Yeah, well, that is our plan. The beach is going to be open. The beach was open last year. We enforce social distancing and mask wearing. We're going to have summer camp like Larchmont in the town. We're also going to have the Fireman's Carnival.
You are. That was one of my next questions.
We are. We're gonna space it out more. But right now the plan is to have it. So we'll see how it goes.
Parades?
I think. Yeah, I look at the New York Times has a chart of when vaccinations, what percentage at what time, and I think they're talking about now 70% vaccinations by the end of June, which would be herd immunity basically by the time of the Fireman's Carnival. So we're hoping that that all works out.
So will there be parades?
There'll be the Fireman's Parade. There will not be the St. Patrick's Day Parade this year.
They won't.
Hopefully it'll come back next year.
And what about fireworks?
Oh, yeah, it'll
4th
be
of
fun.
July. Yeah. Nancy,
So
summer
we're gonna
camp
try
in
and
the
limit
town?
the size of the crowd.
Yeah, and the town, we are certainly looking to open summer camps as well. Unfortunately, we won't be able to have the teen travel camp, which was a small group that traveled together to go to different activities and events. But we will have a regular summer camp. As Lorraine said, there is a little decrease in the capacities, and there are many protocols that we're going to have to abide by in terms of keeping kids in separate cohorts and or pods, and they're not going to be able to mix and match. So it's going to be a lot more difficult to organize. And we are trying to figure out whether we can offer whether the pool is going to be accessible to the different camps, because usually we try and get all the camps into the pool throughout the week. And there's 4 camps that are looking to use it. And I don't think that it's not going to be easy to do that, given the restrictions and protocols that are required for the number of people who can be there at once. So right now we're trying to figure that out.
Apart from the camps, will the pool still be on a reservation basis?
I think it probably will be. It has worked pretty well, and it allows it to be open to everyone in the community, of course. But it has not, I can't give you the definitive final answer, but I think it will be.
Okay, so for folks wanting to know what the summer stuff is, go to each of the municipalities' websites under recreation, and we could find that out, right? Got that? Okay,
Yes.
so I want to talk about the long-term effects on the community, the people, the businesses. And one of the big sources of need has been this food scarcity. As I understand it, the need has more than doubled. And in fact, didn't the village of Larchmont lose one of its trustees because he wanted to spend more time on the food bank?
Yes, definitely. Malcolm.
Right. So, is there any, I assume that the providing food is continuing. Is you seeing any signs that the need is lessening, and what can be done to help?
They're doing the food distribution in Columbus Park. The village has been working hand in hand with Malcolm, who I can't say enough good things about. Malcolm has been, that whole crew, Malcolm, Larchmont Mamaroneck Hunger Task Force, Coalition for Community, they've been angels. They really have been, and God bless them. They, like you pointed out, are feeding twice as many people, and they used to do it every other week. Now they're doing it every week. So they need help volunteering to fill the bags and to unpack and to pack and to break down. And they could always use donations. So if you go to Larchmont Mamaroneck Hunger Task Force website and you go, just click on contribute, and they'd be happy to accept anything that you could give. But this has been really horrific on a lot of families. The village of Mamaroneck has the largest population of people, of the 3 communities of people living under the poverty level. And one of the goals that I set forth when it started was that no kid in Mamaroneck would go to bed hungry. And I think through the work of the Larchmont Mamaroneck Hunger Task Force, scores of volunteers, and hundreds of people who gave money, that has come to fruition. And I'm happy for that. But it's sad that anybody has to worry about food insecurity in the richest country in the world. And hopefully we'll do something about that in the future. But right now, I'm very grateful to everybody who has helped all of these families stay healthy and stay fed. And that's, at least one worry they didn't have during this pandemic.
So the problem continues, and we need to
continue.
So how have the restaurants and businesses held up? I know there have been grand efforts in the area to support our local businesses. How have they done?
Better than I expected. I have to say that a year ago when we were sitting, in Village Hall, kind of walking through the beginning of this process and thinking about what was going to happen. My expectation was probably a desolate wasteland at the end. It really was. I was in a panic. I felt very,
That's
very.
that Irish optimism.
I know. Exactly. What will go wrong? So, I think actually a lot better than would have been than I expected. We have lost a couple of businesses, but we also had a couple of new businesses open up during the pandemic. So we're probably roughly at the same kind of place we were a year ago. I think the next few months are going to shake out, whatever leftover damage there is. And
Is
we'll
it the
start
same
to
for the town and Mamaroneck?
Yeah.
We have very few restaurants in the town. We actually have 3. We have survived and they're doing okay, but we do have a lot of empty, medium-sized box stores on the post road, and the pandemic has not helped us there. But I'm hoping that we will address that issue through the comprehensive plan update and start talking about that and understanding that a little better and seeing if we can attract some new businesses to those.
And are you seeing any change in the employment or unemployment numbers of residents here?
I don't think we get unemployment numbers on a localized basis. I think that they just give it on a statewide basis or maybe on a countywide basis. But you could see, from the commuter parking that hardly anybody's going into the city. And I think a lot of that is a lot of people working from home, and some of that are people who've lost their jobs. And I'll be interesting to see how that, or if that rebounds, because I think a lot of people want to stay home now and work from home. And a lot of people are going to be wary about taking public transportation into the city.
Well, I will tell you, I was in the city today and actually a couple of days ago, and it is much busier than it was a couple of months ago.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't take public transportation for all the sanitary safety reasons, but I was surprised it was busy.
Good.
So
Good. I'm glad.
I want to end on a slightly positive note, if we can. Have you seen any positive changes as a result of the pandemic, whether it's having to do more online, making you more efficient, whether it's seeing the heart of people in the community, whatever? Is there anything positive you can say that's come out of this? Nancy, I'll start with you on this one.
Certainly in the beginning, I felt so heartened that people were exploring our community and taking advantage of the nature trails, the conservation areas, riding their bikes more, doing more family activities. And I think that was a wonderful experience for folks. And I think that has carried through. I think people have a better appreciation, a deeper appreciation for the natural areas in our community and what that provides to them for their lives. And hopefully people getting a little more exercise. So I think that has been one of the positive things.
Lorraine?
Well, Nancy stole my answer.
Oh, sorry.
No, I think that I do believe people have rediscovered community and their environment. So this village is more lively than it's been in years. People walking all over the place, eating out, going to the parks, using the trails, riding bikes, playing in the street. That's definitely a nice change, and I hope that it stays once offices start to reopen and people kind of at least some people go back to the old way of doing business.
Tom, you get the last word on this.
I think, on a practical level, I think we've all become, better at technology. right? I know how to Zoom now. I didn't know that.
Something you didn't know you needed to know.
And I was, I thought I'd blissfully go through life without it. And now I realized the utility of it. But I think going back to what I said before, watching people take care of each other, watching people reach out to others in the community that needed a hand, or to just reach out to their neighbors who are homebound. It shows me that there is a lot of good in the community and in America. And we sometimes focus on the negative and the loudest voice, but I've seen a lot of random acts of kindness in this past year, and that has given me more hope than anything. And it's been a tough year, and I think one of the things for me personally is if you want to do something, do it now, because you never know what's going to happen in a year or 6 months. I think a lot of us delay gratification and happiness, and there's always going to be, it's going to be easy when I'm older. The hell with that. You don't know if you're getting older, so you got to do it now.
We will end on that note. I'd like to thank you for joining us, Mamaroneck Town Supervisor Nancy Seligson, Larchmont Village Mayor Lorraine Walsh, and Mamaroneck Village Mayor Tom Murphy. I'm Maura Carlin. This is an LMC Media Community Conversation.
Good night, ladies. Thank
Good
you.
night.